Coming up, we'll get into the latest developments concerning one of WWE's most mysterious characters, and some new proof of WWE's intentions for this character. This character is, of course, Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail has never really been an existing character on screen. Abigail has mostly been a myth that we just hear a lot of stories about through Bray Wyatt. It's been a while since Sister Abigail has been a popular topic, but we made a theory video going over a concept for Abigail's debut earlier this year, and a lot of you loved that video, and it brought some attention to Sister Abigail, and we continue to talk about her after that. So even though we don't have an actual face to match to her character, Abigail is still a big character in Bray's story, and she has technically been around for years. We first got mention of Abigail when Bray Wyatt was in NXT. This was, of course, a much different Bray Wyatt than the one we see on today's television product. This version of Bray was the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt. During this time period, Bray would always mention his sister Abigail, and always find a way to throw her into the conversation. Bray would often start off his stories and promos by saying either, "My sister told me," or "Abigail told me." It's clear that young Bray Wyatt looked up to his older sister as an idol, and really soaked in everything she told him. As far as a backstory for Bray Wyatt goes, it does get a little foggy. Doesn't sound like Bray's parents were present during the time he spent with Abigail. It sounds like it was Bray, Abigail, and possibly a few other siblings living in the woods somewhere in a cabin or in a barn. Now, one thing that's pretty obvious to note is that Sister Abigail was most likely a little unstable and twisted. That's why Bray turned out the same way she did. He was just so easily influenced by her that he just became another version of Abigail. So, because of Bray's twisted ways, we're forced to look at Bray as an unreliable narrator. That doesn't mean that everything Bray says is a lie. It just means that he'll twist the story up a bit, so we don't know the truth. There's a lot of unreliable narrators in movies and TV shows, and the easiest example that I always like to use is the Joker. The Joker is just a perfect example of a popular, unreliable narrator. He'll tell you a story, but he'll change certain things along the way in the story just to keep us guessing and to make sure we don't know the actual truth. Bray Wyatt could be seen in that same sort of light. Sure, he always told us so many stories of Abigail, but maybe he changed certain parts to hide a big secret or hide something about Abigail. And it's not like Bray Wyatt made up the stories of him living in the woods with Abigail and his siblings. WWE even showed us the Wyatt family house back in 2017 on SmackDown. It was this cabin in the middle of the woods that Wyatt always held close to his heart and considered sacred ground to him and his family. We assume this is the home that Bray and his sister shared all those memories at. Well, Randy Orton went to Wyatt's old home and burned it to the ground. So it doesn't look like we'll ever get to revisit Bray's old home unless it's through flashbacks or hallucinations. But that part in WWE history is important because it showed us that Wyatt's home in the woods was actually real. So that must mean that Sister Abigail was real too. Real quick, if you made it this far and enjoy what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. A large percentage of our viewers aren't even subscribed. So take a second to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of the new daily videos. Let's get back into the story. No way Bray just imagined this Abigail character. It had to be a real person. So that brings us a little bit closer to current day. Where is Abigail at right now? Is she okay? Does she speak with Bray? Those are all the questions that we've been asking since 2013, and we never really got a straight answer from WWE and Bray Wyatt. There was even one theory by some fans that maybe Abigail was somewhere in the house during the Randy Orton attack, but couldn't get out of the house in time. Just so many questions and speculations surrounding this character with little to no real answers. So is Abigail alive? Once again, it's hard to tell. Bray often talks about Abigail in past tense, so is that a clue that she's no longer with us? It's possible, but there's other times that Bray seems to hint at us that she's alive and well. The character of Sister Abigail almost made her WWE TV debut a handful of times in the past, but WWE has canceled it at the last second every single time. Instead, all we got is a little teaser and hints of possibly what could be Sister Abigail. One example of this was when Bray Wyatt made his return in late 2014. Bray interrupted Dean Ambrose's match. We see this scary hologram of what seems to be a woman, but as soon as Dean gets closer, Bray jumps out and attacks him. So many fans were looking at the moment 6 years ago as the first little teaser for Abigail, but we still got nothing. Why Sister Abigail's name is back in the headlines is because WWE has filed another trademark right for Sister Abigail on May 13th, 2020. So this is some brand new proof that maybe there is still hope for WWE to do something with the physical debut of Sister Abigail. WWE usually doesn't store trademarks for no reason. If they file for something, it's because they have intent to use it. So that does make us wonder if there's still a chance of the character finally linking back up with her brother after these past 7 years apart. Even though Bray doesn't mention Abigail as much since starting up the Firefly Funhouse, one of his puppets is supposed to represent Abigail. Bray has the puppet Abby the Witch. Abby is obviously the abbreviated nickname for Abigail. So Bray is still showing appreciation for his long-lost sister, even with his puppets. Despite the big repackaging of his character, Bray also kept his finishing move named of Sister Abigail, which pays respect and honor to his sister. So it's clear that Abigail still inspires and motivates Bray Wyatt even till this day. But we're patiently waiting for the day that we actually see them together on screen for the very first time. Remember that WWE almost destroyed the Sister Abigail character and backstory. The whole alter ego of The Fiend was originally supposed to be Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail was WWE's original plans for an alter ego of Bray Wyatt. So instead of becoming The Fiend and going after his rivals like that, Bray Wyatt was going to transform into Sister Abigail for these big rival matchups and wrestle as his sister. Maybe you like that idea, but I much prefer what WWE actually went with because Bray still has his alter ego of The Fiend. But his Sister Abigail character is still perfectly intact and could really come on screen whenever WWE's creative team decides to make it happen. Don't forget that Bo Dallas is also lurking in the background. Bo Dallas teased a few months ago that he will be disappearing for a while, but when he comes back, we're going to see a version of Bo Dallas that we've never seen before. That was several months ago, and Bo even survived the recent wave of released superstars. So he's still with the company, and this repackage could very well be happening. Bo Dallas is, of course, the real-life brother of Bray Wyatt, so if they were to reunite on screen as brothers, then it makes perfect sense, and we can't argue it at all. Nothing will replace the original Wyatt family of Bray, Harper, and Rowan, but the new family of Bray, Bo Dallas, and Sister Abigail seems like a very good pairing. That would bring chaos to the WWE. Although Bray Wyatt once referred to Harper and Rowan as his sons, and they were the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family name definitely fits the new pairing because Bray Wyatt would be reunited with his real brother and sister, so it makes perfect sense to refer to them as the Wyatt family as well. Another important thing to keep an eye on is on the information on the trademark. Is the trademark just for the name of Bray's finisher, which is called Sister Abigail, or does WWE finally intend to bring this character to life and find a woman to actually portray Abigail? Of course, we all want the second option to be what's true here. Seeing Abigail brought to television as a character will be a big moment in Bray's story and in WWE in general. Even though it'll technically be a new character, we've known about Abigail for years now, so the portrayal of Abigail will have to stay true to all the stories and tales that Bray has told us about her over the years. Bray is one of the very select few characters that have such a rich background and backstory. So the casting and portrayal of Abigail will be important to him. So Bray himself should definitely have a say on who he thinks is perfect for the role. What are your thoughts on this interesting note that WWE is going after the rights for Sister Abigail? Is it a big deal or no big deal? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.